Hey everyone, Happy New Year, welcome to 2019, welcome to not only that, but also a brand new series for ARTV. The show is titled I Got It Wrong, and this series you can think of as an extension of Redemption Reviews. Now, I've been doing that slowly and steadily over the past couple of years, re-reviewing albums that I just don't feel I did justice to in the first place, but this new show, I Got It Wrong, is going to break off and be its own thing, in the sense that there's albums that I've just totally changed my mind on, and also ones that I just originally came at from a point of naivety. Maybe I just totally missed the point of the album, I just don't like my review of the record because I know I got details wrong. This is going to be a special series because yes, I am admitting that I got things wrong and I saw things incorrectly. And the very first episode is going to be about All Time Low's 2011 record, Dirty Work. I do hope that you guys will enjoy this new series, show some love for it by dropping a like on the video, and let's get right into it. What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John, and it's time for I Got It Wrong, All Time Low, Dirty Work. This 2011 record was a departure for All Time Low in several different ways. It was a change of labels and of course a change of sound. And initially, I think that I came at this record from a kind of defensive fan point of view. It's something that I don't like, and will briefly break down some of my original points and then get into the counterpoints that I would argue back with in 2019. If we rewind all the way back to 2011, we find a young John in his late teenage years who loved All Time Low, but didn't like their new album, Dirty Work. Now, at the time, we had been promised a March release date for 2011, but that didn't happen. They had signed to Interscope Records, and I was already weary about that. Being the 19-year-old that I was then, I saw a major label and automatically thought, oh, this is a horrible thing, this is going to change their sound. And while I don't feel that Interscope were a good fit for them, I also don't feel like it was fair for me to preemptively judge it without really hearing much of anything outside of the lead single, I Feel Like Dancin'. Now, they moved into this new sound by going on the Dirty Work tour. I actually saw them for the first time ever live in 2011 on that tour before the album had even dropped. They played a few new songs, and honestly, I was pretty excited for it. And then June rolled around, and I ended up reviewing this album, and my initial points seemed to focus around the record label change, me feeling like there were outside pressures, people basically breathing down their necks saying, change your sound or else you have to have a top 40 hit or else we're gonna drop you. I also talked about the repetitive songs, the kind of piss-poor songwriting, that was my words back then, not now, and Alex's underwhelming vocals as a lead singer. There were some great songs I mentioned, but also plenty that just felt flat and downright boring. Now, with this being 2011, I of course did not explain my thoughts well at all. It was only about a 3.5 minute video, and I really don't like looking back at videos like this just because I really did come at it from a very close-minded state of mind, and I'm ready to alter that now with I Got It Wrong. As I already briefly mentioned, All Time Low moved from more of a pop-punk sound into something a little bit more streamlined and processed. And that wasn't the only change. Of course, they moved from independent label Hopeless Records, one of my favorite record labels, over to Interscope Records. That's a very major label, and All Time Low just didn't seem like they were fitting there. Now, this is an album that I do feel is easy to pass on just because you could go to their stronger works like obviously Don't Panic that came out right after this, or Nothing Personal. So many people still have love for even the party scene and albums that came after like So Wrong It's Right. But I feel Dirty Work just is kind of a blip that should be a bigger blotch on the radar, so to speak. That might sound like an insult, sort of, a blotch, but I'm not saying it's a stain on their career or anything like that. If you want something worse, then I could easily point you to Last Young Renegade, which wasn't the epitome of awful, but at this point still I feel it's worse than Dirty Work. Dirty Work most definitely pulls itself in different directions, but I also am starting to feel like that was intentional. It's not always something that works for them, but dancing between power pop, alternative rock, and sure pop punk, it was an interesting mix, and it definitely brought out some of Alex Gaskarth's best lyrics. Now, that's not something I would have said 8 years ago, and I fully admit my fault there. I don't even know if I read along to the lyrics at the time or tried to understand any of the layering that was done there and in the instrumentation. I feel like it was one of those surface level things where it hit me and it was slightly different, and I didn't just totally pan it. I initially gave this a 2 out of 5. I rated it a C- on my channel, but I found my own personal album log where I rated stuff back in the day, and I did write down 2 out of 5 there. It's something that I've definitely changed my mind on, and I feel like one of those things was just me setting down the expectation of this has to be this. Can we look at it from a different perspective? Even though my opinions on this record have definitely brightened over time, I still feel like there are some lengthy spots where the album just kind of drags, and even at 12 songs and 40 minutes on the standard edition, there's just a few that I would easily cut out of rotation because there are some songs here that have aged terribly. I'm looking at singles like I Feel Like Dancin', which has lines like I think some dude just grabbed my junk, now I know how Kesha must be feeling. Ooh boy, that is the most 2011 thing I've ever heard. You could see that they were really trying for this radio power poppy type thing like other bands at the time, Hot Shell Ray, were trying. I feel like Just the Way I'm Not was building on the success of I Like It Like That, Tonight Tonight, other songs that were dropping in that time period that were really getting successful, and All Time Low played that card. It really didn't work out well for them because Just the Way I'm Not, it tries to be playful, but it just comes across is kind of whack, especially as an All Time Low fan. It feels like you know the band are much more intelligent than that, and they're intentionally selling themselves short both musically and lyrically, and to see a song like that and the cringe alert, That Girl, it's very disappointing still to this day. That girl, she's such a bitch, but I tell myself I can handle it. For every cringe-inducing line like that, we have, I would say, at least 2 more that are much better, and there's songs on here like Return the Favor, which sees Alex kind of questioning the intentions of his partner, like I'm doing all of this for you, and are you going to do anything for me? It has this nice kind of sultry guitar on it, and I like the presence that builds up there. Under a Paper Moon is genuinely one of my favorite all-time low songs. There's such a pleasing, soothing vibe from this one. It's very catchy and fun to revisit years later. There's also other songs that stand out in the track listing, especially the opening cut, Do You Want Me Dead? That is an all-time low classic, and it definitely sees them making their sound a bit more uniform, sure, but it has these pounding drum rhythms on it that really lead into it nicely. I like how the guitar opens up in a softer manner and then really cuts down the wall. An unexpected twist comes in the form of a Daydream Away, which is definitely a slower, more mellow song. It has an acoustic guitar and some nice light backing, kind of airy, atmospheric production and instrumentation that I really don't mind at all. In fact, it's kind of a nice breath of fresh air after an album that definitely does feel processed on the whole. The production often feels very, very safe and like they kind of watered some things down, but a song like A Daydream Away just kind of comes out and it's like the sun coming back out after a little bit of rain. Upon revisiting this album over the past few years in particular, there have been many standout tracks like the ones that I've mentioned alongside Forget About It, which is immensely hook driven, and also Guts, Heroes, both of those definitely soar, and I love the fact that Heroes really tears into someone, like whether it's a significant other or perhaps a friend. You're not this, you're a vampire, basically saying that you're sucking the life out of everything around you. And I love the fact that it had those cutting lyrics that did feel kind of angst-fueled, anger-driven, and it also didn't feel cheap on songs like that. This is an album that is by no means perfect, but Dirty Work is definitely something that I see as not as bad as I originally envisioned. I think I wanted to almost hate it or dislike it at the time, which is a sad feeling to have, especially back in those days. I know I was younger, I was more naive, I was letting my emotions get the best of me, and I've definitely done that more times over the years. That's why this series is going to exist. But I do feel like I missed the point of Dirty Work just a bit, and that 2 out of 5 really wasn't justified. At this point, I am landing on a solid 3.5 out of 5, and I would welcome discussion down below. What do you think about Dirty Work, especially if you haven't heard it in a while? I know this is an album that often gets overlooked or else people haven't really heard it and they just hear the consensus on it and they think this is the worst all-time low album or this is one of their worst, I'm not going to listen to it. There's a link to stream it down below, and I do hope that you guys will check it out. Thanks so much for tuning in to the first ever episode of I Got It Wrong. I hope that you guys enjoyed this series. I thought it was a pretty good idea. It's something that will hopefully capture your attention as I kind of tread lightly on the past and move more swimmingly into the future. I know you liked that metaphor, and if you did, then please drop a like on the video, or if you just enjoyed the video in general. Also, consider subscribing to the channel if you like music-related content. I upload several videos every single week here and on my second channel, Beyond ARTV. Hey, a great way to help support the channel and new shows like this is donating on Patreon on a monthly basis. It's the top link down below, or else you can pick up some of my merch at the second link or in the floating merch shelf. If you would like to see another all-time low-themed video, then tap this playlist here, or tap right over here for another recent review. Socials in the description, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.